In this video, we will talk about a simple monopoly markup pricing rule, and we'll also look at the how to assess the extent of monopoly power. So to start with, let's define total revenue as price times quantity. Now, in competition, the firm can only choose quantity, they have no pricing power. But in a monopoly, a firm can choose prices as well as choose quantity. So the change in total revenue is given by the sum of two things. If we change our quantity, so which is P times delta Q, or we can keep the quantity the same and change our price. So the change in total revenue would be the sum of these two entities. Now we also define marginal revenue as change in total revenue by change in quantity. So we can divide both sides by our quantity, change in quantity. We get our marginal revenue equals change in TR by change in quantity, which is essentially P times delta Q by delta Q plus Q times delta P over delta Q. So we're dividing both sides of the expression by delta Q. So we can cancel the Q's. So what we get is that our marginal revenue is simply price plus Q times delta P delta Q. So once we have this equation, we can do some manipulations to this side. We can divide and multiply this by P. We get P plus P times Q over P times delta P delta Q. Now notice that this thing is the inverse of elasticity. We have defined elasticity of demand as the percentage change in quantity or percentage change in price, which we can rewrite as P over Q. So this expression is simply 1 over elasticity of demand. And we can make use of this fact in our equation to write our equation as MR equals P plus P times 1 over elasticity of demand. And then taking P as common, we can write this as P 1 plus 1 over elasticity of demand. Now, also notice that to maximize profits, the critical condition is that MR equals MC. Now, given that MR equals MC, we can replace our left-hand side with MC. We get P plus P 1 over ED. Or we can now move price on both. On the other side, we get MC minus P equals P 1 over ED, or simply MC minus P over P equals 1 over ED. Now, usually markup is what you charge above your marginal cost. So if I multiply both sides with a negative sign, can multiply this with negative and then multiply this with negative, what we then get is that P minus MC, which is our markup, is given by minus 1 over elasticity of demand. So this is our simple rule of thumb markup pricing condition, where our markup, which is price over our marginal cost, is ratio of price, is given by negative of 1 over elasticity of demand. This simple markup rule of thumb will also help us obtain the optimal price that a firm should charge. And by, again, rearranging our expressions, we get that our optimal price should be our marginal cost divided by 1 plus 1 over elasticity of demand. So this simple rule of thumb will give us the optimal pricing that a firm should be charging given the elasticity of demand and the marginal cost. So to illustrate this, let's say that our marginal cost of production is $10 and our elasticity of demand is minus 1.25. So applying this rule, it tells us that optimal price should be 10 divided by 1 plus 1 over 1.25 negative, which is 10 divided by 1 minus 0.8, or 10 divided by 0.2, which is $50. So given the elasticity of demand at minus 1.25 and the marginal cost being 10, the optimal price for this product which a monopolist should charge is $50. We can also verify that our markup minus P, which is 50 minus 10 over 50, which is 40 over 50, or 0.8, is also the same as our 1 over elasticity of demand, which is minus 1 over minus 1.25, which is 0.8. So this verifies that our simple markup pricing rule is given by the negative of inverse of elasticity of demand. And if we are given the marginal cost and we know the elasticity of demand, we can also find the optimal price that this firm should charge to maximize its profits.